You're sitting at your desk on a Tuesday afternoon, scrolling through your bank account, and you realize something kind of unsettling. You make decent money, maybe not rich, but, comfortable, and yet somehow there's this nagging feeling that you should be further along? Like you're doing everything right, or at least you think you are, but you look at your savings and it's just not what you imagined it would be at this point in your life. And maybe you've got this weird, quiet panic that occasionally surfaces at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep. This voice that whispers, "Am I going to be okay? Did I miss something important?" Here's the thing, and I think about this constantly. Most people don't actually fail at life because they made terrible decisions. They fail, or maybe struggle is a better word, because they didn't make certain decisions at all. They were waiting for the right time, the right amount of money, the right level of certainty. And then one day they're 45 or 50 and they look back and think, oh, that was the right time. That moment 5 years ago when I thought I wasn't ready, that was actually when I should have started. My name is Oliver, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, human psychology, and why some people seem to glide through their 30s and 40s building wealth and security, while others are constantly stressed, constantly feeling behind, constantly wondering where the years went. And what I've noticed, what really fascinates me, honestly, is that there are these specific moves, these specific decisions that separate the two groups. Not complicated stuff, not genius-level financial wizardry, just certain things that you either do before 40 or you spend the rest of your life wishing you had. And here's what's kind of maddening about it. Every single person I've talked to who's over 45 and financially comfortable tells me the exact same 5 things, like almost word for word. I wish I'd understood this earlier, they say. I wish someone had sat me down and explained why this mattered. It's like there's this secret playbook that only becomes obvious in hindsight. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to walk you through the 5 moves, the 5 specific actionable decisions that you need to make before you turn 40. Not because I'm some guru with all the answers, but because I've seen what happens when people make these moves and what happens when they don't. And the difference, it's staggering. We're talking about the difference between entering your 50s feeling secure and optimistic versus feeling trapped and regretful. This isn't going to be some rah-rah motivational speech or a list of obvious advice like save money and work hard. This is deeper than that. These are the moves that fundamentally shift your trajectory, the ones that compound over time in ways you can't even imagine when you're making them. So if you're anywhere between, 25 and 39, and you've got that little voice in your head wondering if you're on the right track, you're in the right place. Let's talk about what you actually need to do. Okay, so everyone talks about emergency funds, right? 3 to 6 months of expenses. You've heard it a million times. But here's what nobody tells you. An emergency fund isn't actually enough. And this is where people get tripped up. Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. She's 37, works in marketing, makes about $75,000 a year. Pretty good, right? She had her emergency fund, religiously saved up 6 months of expenses, had it sitting in a high-yield savings account, felt really proud of herself. She was doing everything right, according to all the personal finance advice out there. And then, life happened. Not even a catastrophic emergency, just life. Her company started doing layoffs. She saw it coming, could feel the energy shift in the office. And even though she had her emergency fund, you know what she told me? She said, Oliver, I'm paralyzed. I can't negotiate for a better position. I can't take a risk on a new opportunity. I can't even think clearly because I'm so scared of burning through that money. 6 months sounds like a lot until you realize that 6 months goes by really, really fast when you're unemployed or underemployed or trying to pivot your career. And suddenly that emergency fund isn't freedom, it's just a countdown timer to panic. So here's the move. You need to build what I call a freedom fund, not an emergency fund, a freedom fund. And the difference is massive. An emergency fund is defensive. It's there to catch you when you fall. A freedom fund is offensive. It's there to let you make moves. It's the difference between having enough money to survive for 6 months and having enough money to say no to things that don't serve you, to say yes to opportunities that require risk, to make career moves or life changes without being backed into a corner by fear. What does this look like in practice? Honestly, you want at least 12 months of expenses saved up. I know, that sounds like a lot. If your expenses are $4,000 a month, that's $48,000. But listen, here's why it matters. With 12 months saved, you're not just protected against emergencies, you're protected against opportunity. You can take a lower paying job that's actually going somewhere. You can start a business. You can say no to a toxic work environment without having a panic attack about rent. You can negotiate from a position of actual strength because your employer knows on some level that you're not desperate. I watched this play out with Sarah. She eventually did get laid off about 8 months after our conversation, but by then she'd built up her fund to almost 15 months of expenses. And you know what happened? Instead of desperately applying to every job posting and taking the first offer, she took 2 months to really think about what she wanted. She networked properly. She was selective. She ended up in a position that paid $95,000 with better benefits and actual growth potential. That would never have happened if she'd been running on fumes financially. Here's how you build it. Start small, but start now. If you can save $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. In 2 years, you've got $12,000. In 4 years, you're at $24,000. The math is simple, but the execution requires something people don't talk about enough. You have to delay gratification in a culture that's constantly telling you to treat yourself. And look, I'm not saying don't enjoy your life. I'm not saying never go out to dinner or take a vacation. But I am saying that every dollar you spend on stuff that doesn't actually matter, the subscription services you forgot about, the expensive coffee you don't even taste anymore, the clothes you buy because you're bored, is a dollar that's not buying you freedom later. The people I know who did this before 40, they're the ones who aren't stressed about money in their 40s and 50s. They're the ones who can afford to be patient, strategic, thoughtful. They're playing a completely different game because they gave themselves the cushion to play it. So that's move number 1. Build a real financial cushion, not just for emergencies, for freedom. Okay, this one's going to sting for some of you, and I'm sorry, but it needs to be said. If you're not investing by your early 30s, you're leaving an absurd amount of money on the table. And I don't mean that in some abstract, theoretical way. I mean literal, tangible money that could change your entire life. Let me give you an example that'll make this crystal clear. Let's say you're 30 years old and you start investing $500 a month, just $500 in a boring index fund that tracks the S&P 500. Nothing fancy, you just set it up to automatically transfer every month and basically forget about it. By the time you're 60, assuming average market returns of around 8% a year, you'll have roughly $750,000, $750,000, from $500 a month. Now let's say you wait until you're 40 to start. Same $500 a month, same returns. By 60, you'll have about $300,000. Still good, but you've lost $450,000 by waiting those 10 years. That's what compound interest does, or doesn't do, depending on when you start. And here's the thing that really gets me. People know this, like intellectually, everyone knows that investing early matters, but they don't do it. They tell themselves they'll start next year, or after they pay off this one debt, or when they get that raise, or when they understand the market better. And then 10 years go by. I have this theory, and maybe it's cynical, but I think people don't invest because it requires them to confront something uncomfortable, the fact that they're going to get old, like genuinely old. Retirement isn't some abstract concept that happens to other people. It's going to happen to you. And either you're going to have money to live comfortably or you're not. And the decision about which one of those futures you get, you're making it right now in your 30s by either investing or not investing. I know a guy, let's call him Marcus, who didn't start investing until he was 43. Smart guy, good career, made decent money his whole adult life, but he just never got around to it. always seemed like there was something more pressing. And now he's 48 and he's doing the math and realizing that he's going to have to work until he's 70, maybe 75 to have a retirement that isn't just scraping by. And you can see it in his eyes, this regret, this frustration with his younger self. Why didn't anyone make me understand? He asked me once. But people did try to tell him. He just wasn't ready to hear it. So here's what you actually need to do. First, if your employer offers a 401k match, you contribute at least enough to get the full match. That's free money. If you're not doing this, you're literally turning down a raise. Second, open a Roth IRA and contribute as much as you can, ideally maxing it out each year. As of 2024, that's $7,000 a year if you're under 50. That's less than $600 a month. Third, if you've done both of those and you still have money to invest, open a regular brokerage account and invest there too. What should you invest in? Honestly, for most people, just buy broad index funds, a total market index fund, an S&P 500 index fund, something boring and diversified. You're not trying to beat the market, you're trying to be in the market and let time do the heavy lifting. And here's the crucial part. You have to automate it. Set it up so the money transfers automatically every month. Because if you try to invest when you have extra money, you'll never have extra money. There's always something else. But if it happens automatically, you adjust your lifestyle around it and suddenly $500 a month isn't that hard to manage. The people who make this move before 40, they enter their 40s and 50s watching their net worth grow in a way that feels almost magical. Not because they're doing anything complicated, but because compound interest is finally working in their favor instead of against them. They're not worried about retirement. They're not trapped in jobs they hate because they can't afford to leave. They have options. That's what investing gives you, options. And you want as many of those as possible. This one's different, and honestly, it's the one people overlook the most. But stay with me because this might be the most important move on this entire list. Your network, the people you know, the relationships you've built, the community you're part of, is going to determine your success more than almost anything else. Not just your financial success, but your happiness, your opportunities, your ability to weather difficult times. And if you don't start building that network deliberately before 40, you're going to wake up one day and realize you're professionally and socially isolated in a way that's really hard to fix. Here's what I mean. When you're in your 20s, making friends is easy. You're in college, or you're in entry-level jobs with other people your age, or you're out at bars meeting people. Friendships just kind of happen. But by your mid-30s, that changes. People are married, or they have kids, or they're focused on their careers, and suddenly making new friends feels impossible. And professionally, if you haven't been cultivating relationships, you realize that all the best opportunities come through people you know, and you don't really know anyone in a meaningful way. I'll tell you a story. When I was 32, I got invited to this dinner party by a colleague. I almost didn't go because I was tired and I had work to do, and honestly, I didn't think it would be worth my time. But I went, and I ended up sitting next to this guy who worked in a completely different industry. We hit it off, just talking about random stuff. Books, travel, our shared frustration with certain aspects of modern life. Nothing business related at all. We exchanged numbers, got coffee a few weeks later, stayed in touch. 2 years later, I was thinking about making a career shift, but I didn't have the right connections in the field I wanted to move into. I mentioned it casually to this guy, and he said, "Oh, you should talk to my friend Sarah." Different Sarah from the earlier story. She runs a team in that space. He made an introduction. That introduction led to a conversation, which led to an opportunity, which changed the trajectory of my entire career. That dinner party I almost skipped, it was worth probably hundreds of thousands of dollars over the long term. But here's the thing. I wasn't networking. I was just being open to meeting people and building genuine relationships. That's the move. You have to invest in relationships deliberately, not transactionally. You have to show up for people. You have to be genuinely interested in them. You have to maintain friendships even when you're busy. You have to say yes to things that seem like they won't have immediate payoff. Practically speaking, here's what this looks like. You reach out to one person a week just to check in, not to ask for something, just to see how they're doing. You say yes to social invitations even when you're tired. You introduce people who might benefit from knowing each other. You remember details about people's lives and follow up on them. You show up when people need help, even if it's inconvenient. And professionally, you go to industry events. You engage on LinkedIn thoughtfully, not just to self-promote. You offer help before you ask for it. You build a reputation as someone who's generous, reliable, and interesting to know. The people who do this before 40, they have this web of relationships that supports them in ways that are almost invisible until you need it. They always seem to know someone who can help with whatever problem they're facing. They get opportunities before they're publicly available. They have friends who actually show up when life gets hard. They're not alone. And the people who don't do this, they're isolated. They're stressed. They feel like they have to do everything themselves because they don't have a network to lean on. And when they finally try to build one in their 40s or 50s, it's so much harder because they don't have the natural social environments that facilitate it. So make this move now. Invest in relationships like they're the most valuable asset you have, because they are. Look, I know this isn't purely a financial move, but stick with me because it absolutely affects your money and your quality of life in ways you can't even imagine when you're young and everything still works properly. Here's the brutal truth. Your body is going to change dramatically between 35 and 45. And if you don't take care of it in your 30s, those changes are going to be really, really unpleasant. We're talking about chronic pain, metabolic issues, energy crashes, and medical bills that add up faster than you can believe. I have a friend, let's call him Dave, who's 44 now. In his 30s, he was one of those guys who ate whatever he wanted, never exercised, stayed up late, drank heavily on weekends, and his body just handled it. He felt fine. He thought he was invincible. Then he turned 39 and suddenly everything fell apart. His back started hurting, he developed high blood pressure, he put on 40 pounds in 2 years, he was tired all the time, and now he's spending thousands of dollars a year on medical care, physical therapy, and medication for problems that could have been prevented if he'd just taken care of himself earlier. But here's what makes this really relevant to this list. Being unhealthy is expensive, not just in medical bills, but in lost productivity, lost opportunities, lost energy to do the things that actually build wealth and happiness. If you're constantly sick, constantly in pain, constantly low energy, you can't show up for your career the way you need to. You can't take advantage of opportunities. You can't enjoy the money you're making because you feel terrible all the time. So here's the move, and it's simpler than you think. Just move your body regularly and don't eat garbage all the time. That's it. I'm not saying you need to become a fitness influencer or never eat pizza again. I'm saying you need to exercise at least 3 times a week. Could be walking, running, lifting weights, yoga, whatever. And you need to eat mostly whole foods instead of processed junk. The compound effect of this is insane. If you start exercising regularly at 32 and keep it up for 8 years, by 40, you're going to be in better shape than 90% of your peers. You're going to have more energy, better sleep, lower stress, fewer health problems. And that advantage compounds. While everyone else is dealing with preventable health issues in their 40s and 50s, you're thriving. And here's something nobody talks about. Being healthy makes you more confident, which makes you better at everything else. Better at your job, better at relationships, better at making decisions, better at handling stress. It's like this invisible force multiplier for your entire life. Practically, here's what I recommend. Find a form of exercise you actually enjoy, not something you think you're supposed to do. If you hate running, don't run. Try hiking or swimming or dancing or rock climbing or martial arts. Just find something that gets you moving that you'll actually stick with. And food-wise, just cook more at home and eat vegetables with most meals. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistently decent. Also, and this is huge, fix your sleep. If you're sleeping less than 7 hours a night regularly, you're slowly destroying yourself. Your body needs sleep to repair, to process information, to regulate hormones. Chronic sleep deprivation leads to weight gain, cognitive decline, increased risk of disease, and decreased performance in literally every area of life. Make sleep a priority. It's not lazy, it's essential. The people who make this move before 40, they enter middle age feeling strong and energetic while their peers are falling apart. They save tens of thousands of dollars in medical costs. They have the energy to pursue opportunities and enjoy their success. They don't regret neglecting their health because they didn't neglect it. Your body is the vehicle you're going to live in for the rest of your life. Take care of it now before it starts sending you urgent warning messages that are much harder to ignore.
All right, last move, and this one's about insurance. Not the boring kind with premiums and deductibles, but insurance against the single greatest financial risk most people face, depending entirely on one source of income. Here's what people don't realize until it's too late. Your job is not secure. I don't care how good you are, how essential you feel, how stable your company seems. Your job can disappear tomorrow. Companies downsize, industries change, the economy crashes, AI automates roles, whatever. The point is, if 100% of your income comes from one employer, you're vulnerable in a way that should keep you up at night. But here's the thing. If you develop a skill or side income stream in your 30s, by the time you're 40, you have options, real options. And options are what separate people who thrive from people who just survive. Let me tell you about Rachel. She's 41 now, works as a project manager at a tech company, but in her early 30s, she started freelance writing on the side. Nothing huge, she was making maybe an extra $1,000 a month, but she kept at it, built relationships with clients, got better at it. By the time she was 38, she was making about $3,000 a month from freelancing while still working full-time. Then her company had layoffs. She lost her job. And you know what? She was fine. Better than fine. She scaled up her freelancing, started making $6,000 a month within 3 months because she already had the skills, the clients, the reputation. Then she took her time finding a new full-time job that was actually better than the one she lost. She negotiated from a position of strength because she had income coming in. The whole experience, which would have been devastating for most people, was just a minor inconvenience for her. That's the power of having a side income stream. It's not about getting rich. It's about having a safety net that you built yourself, that nobody can take away from you. So here's what you do. Identify a skill that's valuable and that you could monetize. Could be writing, design, coding, consulting, coaching, photography, video editing. There are dozens of options. Then start developing that skill deliberately. Take courses, practice, build a portfolio, start doing small projects, even if you're not getting paid much at first. The goal isn't to replace your income immediately. The goal is to build something real that could support you if you needed it to. Or alternatively, start a small business, something simple. Could be an e-commerce store, a service business, a digital product. The specifics don't matter as much as the process of learning how to generate income outside of traditional employment. The beautiful thing about this is that it compounds. Every client you work with teaches you something. Every project makes you better. Every dollar you earn validates that you can do this. And by 40, you have this entire parallel income source that gives you leverage, security, and freedom. I did this myself. Started writing and consulting on the side in my early 30s. It was hard at first. I was exhausted, working essentially 2 jobs. But I kept at it, and by 37, I was making almost as much from consulting as I was from my full-time job. That's when I realized I didn't have to stay at my job if it wasn't serving me. I could leave. I had options. That feeling is worth more than any amount of money I've made from it. The people who do this before 40, they're not scared of job loss. They're not trapped. They have multiple income streams, multiple skills, multiple paths forward. They can take risks because they're not dependent on any single source of money. And look, I'm not saying it's easy. Building a side income or developing a marketable skill while working full-time requires sacrifice. You're going to be tired. You're going to miss some social events. You're going to work when you'd rather be relaxing. But I promise you, the security and freedom it provides is worth every hour you invest in it. This is your insurance policy against an uncertain future. Build it before you need it. So there they are, 5 moves.
Build a real financial cushion. Start investing like your future depends on it. Invest in relationships deliberately. Take your health seriously. Develop a skill or side income stream. And here's what I want you to understand about these moves. They're not equally important. They're all important. They work together. Your financial cushion gives you the freedom to invest in relationships and health. Your investments give you the security to take risks on a side income. Your health gives you the energy to build everything else. Your relationships open doors you didn't even know existed. Your side income protects you when other things fall apart. It's like building a table. You can't just have one or two legs and expect it to stand. You need all of them working together, supporting each other. And I get it. Looking at this list, it can feel overwhelming. Maybe you're 35 and you haven't done any of these things. Maybe you're 38 and you've done some but not others. Maybe you're 29 and you're thinking, where do I even start? Start anywhere. Seriously, pick the move that resonates most with you, or the one that scares you the most, or the one that feels most urgent. Then just start. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait until you understand everything. Don't wait for more money or more time or more confidence. Because here's what I've learned from watching hundreds of people navigate their 30s and 40s. The difference between people who have regrets and people who don't isn't talent or luck or even money. It's just action. It's just starting. The people who do well are the ones who saw what needed to be done and did it, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was hard, even when they weren't sure it would work out. Your 30s are this unique window where you're young enough that compound interest still works its magic, but old enough to actually have some resources and wisdom to work with. It's the sweet spot, but it closes faster than you think. You blink and you're 42, and the moves that would have been relatively easy at 32 are now much, much harder. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to wake you up to the opportunity that's right in front of you, right now. You have time, but you don't have unlimited time. Every day you delay is a day you can't get back. So make these moves, not all at once, not perfectly, but make them. Build your financial cushion $1 at a time. Start investing, even if it's just $100 a month. Reach out to one person this week. Go for a walk tomorrow. Sign up for a class to learn that skill you've been thinking about. Small actions repeated over time become a completely different life. And here's the thing that nobody tells you when you're young. The peace of mind that comes from knowing you've taken care of future you, it's priceless. It's this quiet confidence that changes how you walk through the world. You're not desperate. You're not anxious. You're not wondering if you're going to be okay. You know you're going to be okay because you've built the foundation for it. That's what these 5 moves give you. Not just money, not just success, but peace. And honestly, that might be the most valuable thing of all. So go build that peace. Your 40-year-old self is counting on you. And trust me, you want to make that person proud.